gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the Undercard! The Undercard brings you the best in hand combat sports, featuring major interviews, current events, and the hottest ring girls from around the nation. The Undercard is sponsored by Falling Down Beer Company, PodcastDetroit Studios, and is produced by Rochelle Whitten. And now, here are your hosts, Brad,
Jimmy, where are
Tony,
you?
and
right
Jimmy.
Welcome to the Undercard. We are officially back. It is September. I couldn't tell you how much time has officially been taken.
Well, for like maybe a couple of weeks, right?
I mean, here and there we'd throw in like some spotty shows, but
How long has it been?
like
It's
since
been like
since
it's been at least a month and a half. I think
so. Life got crazy. For a little
Yeah,
bit.
life did get crazy.
First off, we've
How
been
long are we gone?
long enough for Jimmy to find a girlfriend.
No. Wait. I didn't find a girlfriend. A girlfriend came back.
Yeah, well, that's even better.
There's a huge difference there.
I hope you made her earn it.
No, I mean there was some awkwardness there initially, where it was kind of like, you know, are we going to talk about the elephant in the room, like the last 2 years, like what happened? Why did you just, you know?
No, drop it.
No. Actually, she did. She sat down and explained.
Talk about it now.
No. She, and I mean, and it wasn't anything like major. It was just she saw that she was falling into bad habits. She didn't want to do that again, so she decided that she needed to work on that before she could be in a healthy relationship. And she wanted to come. She expected it to happen quickly. It took a lot longer than she anticipated, but she didn't want to come back until she felt she was ready. So
Well,
I'm like,
good
all
for,
right, yeah,
good for you guys. I'm
yeah.
very happy for
You
you.
guys seem very happy on social media.
Yeah, you know, we clean up nice.
No fights?
No, not at all.
Oh, shit, that's good.
Yeah, not at all. Like, I mean, play fighting, like joking,
No,
Yeah.
play fighting's like, no, that's
You know,
a relationship.
like, yeah, but no fighting.
Brad, you suck.
I wouldn't even go into play fighting. I'd just go
Yes.
back on my phone.
He just ignores me.
Fuck.
Just-
Yeah,
Okay,
but
Thank you.
but was it like that? Like when you first started dating?
Oh no, he was very sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was doting, and
Yeah.
he wooed me,
Before-
as he says.
be-
and then, like 2 months in, it was just like out the window.
Whatever.
Oh, really? You gotta woo her every day, man.
Every
Dude,
day.
there
Every
was
day,
like,
you gotta woo her
Every
every
day.
day. Man, and it doesn't
No one
mean
would
like
laugh
buy
at-
her.
No.
It doesn't mean buy her things or anything like that, but just little.
No, he's sweet.
little
He
things.
has his moments.
she
Yeah.
loves that I'm real. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like,
you can be real and still be a doting boyfriend.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just the doting girlfriend.
No.
Yeah, you
I saw
can.
her. I saw her post the other day about. It was obviously a shot at me, but I don't care. So like it was
Rochelle?
like, yeah, it was
Oh.
like if you've cuddled with like a stuffed animal when you're a
Oh
kid.
no! It wasn't a shot at you at all. I was missing my bear, literally.
And your boyfriend doesn't cuddle with you because I'm not a cuddler. I won't do it. And huh?
Why?
Sleep is more important. Fuck.
But that's you start cuddling. I mean, once you fall asleep, it's a whole different ballgame. But you always start cuddling.
No.
Even if you can't, even if you don't want to like lay over and put like the arm over or whatever, at least just
no.
physical touch it means a lot.
Yeah.
Even if you have to just place your hand like on her hand or something.
No,
like
it wasn't. It seriously, it wasn't even a shot at him at all.
No, I'm not saying it was.
No, I'm
just
telling
saying
him. It
Yeah.
had to do with the fact that I was like the other night on Lane.
You
and
don't
I'm
count,
like, I
Dave.
felt
You're
like,
married. That's like a whole different ballgame.
I felt like I
You
needed
count, Dave. Get
my
in here.
stuffed animal with me. I missed my Rufus.
Yeah.
That was literally it. And I started thinking, I'm like, well, what are other people in the same boat that I am?
And let me ask you this.
But it
though.
wasn't even. He wasn't even a thought.
Well, let me ask you this though. There is a book, and I can't remember. I think it's called like the 5 Love Languages. There's a.
I know that book.
Yeah, so there's a quiz that you can take, and it's actually very good.
Right?
It's actually very good because what it does is you answer the questions, and then it shows you like how you perceive love and affection and how your partner perceives love and affection, and you could be completely opposite, but it
Oh,
just
we are.
but it just shows you like, and as you read the book, it tells you, like, here are little subtle things, because your partner has this as their love language, things that you can do that is going to be comfortable for you because of your personality, and vice versa.
Well, every time we go to bed at the same time, the same conversation comes up, and I start it. I divide her bed up like a war. I'm like, you are in the middle, and that doesn't count. Get more over, and she's
And
like, I'm not in the middle. And then like I kind of measure it off in my head, and I'm like, you're pretty close to the middle, and I need my space. And that happens every night.
Let's see, we went from a king
Who
size.
hurt you? Who hurt you, Brad? Who hurt you?
Nothing to do with that.
Yes, it does.
When he says, it's okay, you can come over and cuddle for a minute. I'm like, what?
That happened one time in 5 years. And
Yes.
it happened this week.
Wow.
It's almost been 7. Let's
I
get
was
that
cold
straight.
though. I had a fever.
Oh, well.
It's true.
Let me ask you this.
had a fever.
Legitimate question. Do you not like cuddling because you overheat, or do you not like cuddling because you don't like touching another person while you sleep?
The latter. I mean, it's not an intimacy thing. It's just that, like, I don't get a lot of time to sleep, and I don't sleep well, so nothing can like get around to that.
So why don't you sleep well?
Oh, we had
I
no
toss
idea.
and turn.
Yeah.
I know,
get
but-
sleep apnea. Could
okay.
be a million fucking things. Who knows?
Have you had it checked out yet?
I mean, I have a prescription for a sleep study, but once again, I don't have enough time to do a sleep study.
You gotta make time, man. Trust
Dude,
me,
it's
you
been
gotta
busy.
make time.
It's been busy.
But
That's why we've not been here.
I know, but even if I understand with what is happening in your personal life and all that kinds of like that, but you have to, man. You have to make that time, even if you have to push off something that you feel is extremely important. That sleep study is going to be a life changer, man. I guarantee you.
First
Well,
off,
I've watched him sleep, and I've seen him actually stop breathing.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, and you
it's-
probably need a CPAP or a
does,
BiPAP
like, the
machine.
little-
Yeah.
you
so I'll
know.
be Darth Vader at night.
Yeah. You honestly need you probably need a CPAP or BiPAP machine, but they'll also be able to prescribe you like different things so that when you do sleep, it's a deeper sleep. So even when you have only a short period of time.
What do you mean they will?
No,
I'm already
saying-
on it.
No, but that's just it. Is they're
Something more?
Well, they're
There's
throwing
more than 10 milligrams.
without
of
the
Ambien?
without the sleep study. All they're doing is they're throwing darts at a dartboard.
No, I got you.
Seeing what sticks.
Gotcha.
When the sleep study hits, it's like a freaking laser. They can pinpoint. Yeah, like a laser. They can pinpoint exactly what's going on, give you the right medications in the proper dosage with the right interventions like CPAP, BiPAP, whatever, so that when you do sleep, it is the best sleep that you can possibly get.
No, I got it.
So you have to do that study, man.
I know.
You have to
Sometime-
make time.
It's probably going to be Christmas week.
No,
And
I'm
I
telling
think,
you,
I
within
think
the
that
next...
if he was to sleep, have a good night's sleep on
Yeah.
a consistent basis, that he would feel so much
but
better.
be
I feel pretty good right now.
be a nicer person.
I'm a nice.
Just kidding.
I'm a nice. guy.
But I'm telling you, man, in the next 2 weeks, you got to get that sleep study.
So we had a king size, and then we moved into an amazing house, an amazing yard, amazing bigger
Right.
yard behind it.
And we moved
And-
down to a queen size.
And we moved down to queen size, and that took a lot of getting used to.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause
you realize
he
that
would
a king
actually
size, I
love
could
me.
like roll a few times and not touch her.
Yeah.
And roll back a few times and not touch her. And
No, 'cause I
it was
got
great.
cooties.
I think we need to analyze this intimacy issue too.
That's other shows, man. We're a boxing show and an MMA show, but at least I'm open and upfront about it.
Yeah.
I think I'm a pretty real boyfriend. I'll tell like people. Like,
Real, okay. You might be real, but that
Real.
doesn't make you.
I'm not compromising. She knows that.
Well, we mean compromising.
in anything.
Like, I mean,
Right.
she probably needs more.
So there's no give or take. It's just all take.
No, I mean, it's different. I mean, like I'm sweet in my own ways. Like, you know.
But the way that you are sweet, is it what you think is sweet, or have you tried to find out what she thinks is sweet and then go that little extra thing to do something that she tings is sweet?
I don't know.
Or are you just being, I mean, I don't want to use the word self-centered because that's the wrong word, but just being in your own little bubble and never venturing outside of it.
No, it's King Brad's world, and everyone rotates.
Okay. See, you might need to knock that wall down a little bit.
I do really nice things for her in different ways that like aren't considered intimacy, but it shows like affection.
Like what? Give me an example.
I don't know. Queen was here, and I was out of town, and she wanted to see it. Her son wanted to see it, and I knew it was important for her, so I make it happen.
Okay, so hold on. That's buying her something or doing
Not
something.
necessarily. She got me dinner with Steve Eisman the other night, and she didn't even pay a penny for that.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is, but that's what you did, or you made that happen. Okay. But let me ask you this. Do you, if she's had a really hard day, do you do the laundry?
I don't know how to do the laundry. I don't even know how to
How old are you?
When he was in
How old are
When
you?
he was in a band, he used to have roadies. Or
I know. How old are you?
Do his laundry.
42. I just
You're
turned
42. How can you be a 42-year-old man and not know how to do laundry?
I mean, I can figure it out, but I choose not to.
Yeah,
Why?
see?
Because she does it, and she's really good at it.
But let me ask you this. But, okay, so she does it, and that's, and you know, okay, but don't you think it would be a really sweet gesture to figure out how to do laundry and then do it so that she doesn't have to one day?
I think so, but then like I take care of like paying the lawn people.
But
and,
see,
like,
but okay, so hold on. That's monetary. I'm not talking monetary. I'm talking about little things that have no monetary value, but or are just little things that you can do that show her how much you appreciate her.
I think I do that, like my own way though.
But see, that's just it. It's your own way.
Dude. It's trust me. I don't like in the Hallmark America. I don't belong. She'll tell you that.
But that's not doing the laundry. Is not Hallmark America. It's just being a decent person. Even if you were roommates, it would be being a decent person.
I wouldn't want my roommate touching my underwear.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you took out all the romantic things, just being a decent person living in the same space.
How about
doing a little thing?
I don't understand her system, so I've not taken trigonometry yet. I'm only like in like maybe algebra. So like I don't want to ruin her system.
System of what?
How she does laundry.
My order.
Oh, okay. Well, so what about doing the dishes or putting them in the dishwasher?
My son does it.
Okay, but why can't you do it?
When Aiden's not there.
Well, I don't know. Once again, I don't want to mess it up.
But okay, so ask her one day, Rochelle, show me how you would like this done,
You
and
don't
then
understand
do it.
how much this like hits home. It's like
I'm just saying, these are
right now.
I never
just
said I was
really-
going to be the Bachelor next season or anything. I know that.
I'm just saying there are little subtle things that you can do that have no monetary value that just a little extra something. Just a little extra something.
Dr. Jimmy.
Dr. Jimmy. I appreciate that. But you're still with the same girl 6 months. We'll see if you're still there. And 6 months after, still there.
I was married for, the second marriage, the first marriage
Yeah,
dissolved.
Brad, you can't talk about your marriage.
Well, hold on. The first marriage dissolved because we got married way too young, and we got married for completely the wrong reasons. The second marriage dissolved because the deployment changed who we were, and when we came back, we were kind of in that honeymoon phase, so we didn't really notice it. And then after a year, when that honeymoon phase faded away, we realized that we were not the same people as we were when I left. And we tried to make it work, but it was just too glaring. We were just going in two completely different things. So there's no there's nobody's fault. It's it just happened or whatever.
No, it was so the infatuation phase.
Huh?
The correct term, psychology, would be that infatuation phase.
No. I'm saying we were literally in the honeymoon phase because we had been together for 4 years before we got married. It's just we literally went on our honeymoon when I came back from Afghanistan, and we were still kind of figuring out who we were. We hadn't seen each other for a year, so we were like happy to see each other. You know what I'm saying? So it was almost like getting into a new relationship, but then when we got into that relationship, we realized that I don't like this other person now, even though we were the same people. It was like dating a stranger, kind of, almost. So, but yeah, no, those are just little, that the biggest thing that you can do is Just those little things. Do the laundry once in a while. Put away dishes once in a while. You know, just little, and it's so simple too. It's a simple, nice thing that you can do that shows her how much you appreciate her.
Dr.
I'm not harking on you. I'm just, you know.
No, I got you.
Yeah. I'm trying to
show it in different ways.
I know.
Dave may show it different ways too. I don't know.
Wait, where are you?
Sorry. There should be 5.
Wait, no, where are you?
5.
5.
I would just like to point out that listening to the guy who just got done talking about his 2 divorces, giving you relationship advice, is almost as good as listening to Melania Trump, who is his 3rd wife, talking about how much he'll stand by you in a time of crisis.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true, Jimmy. How do you combat that?
I'm not saying Dave's wrong, but what I'm saying,
Those that can't do, teach.
I'm not saying that Dave's wrong. I have had 2 divorces, and I'm just saying, because, and the other thing is like, if I didn't know you guys, it'd be completely different.
Right.
But I know both of you, and I know, you know, that something like that Rochelle would very much appreciate that.
I got you.
So that's why I'm kind of harping on that a little bit.
I got you.
Yeah.
I know. I could be a better boyfriend. I tell everybody I'm a terrible
I'm not saying
boyfriend.
a better boyfriend. I'm just saying that, like, you can always step it up a notch.
Right.
You can always step it up a notch.
Right.
You know.
Right. I agree.
Be a good boyfriend. Every once in a while, be a great boyfriend. You know what I'm
I
saying?
like the new Jimmy. I'm so happy that she came back to you.
Yeah.
I hope you
I'm
made
good.
her grovel.
You guys
No,
are very
not at all.
happy.
I hope you had a list of requirements.
No, not at all.
Like 5 BJs a week, 6 showers.
I know.
Like, you know,
Well, I mean, she has 2 younger daughters, so it's kind of difficult.
you gotta wake up early or go to bed late
All right,
to make
all
that
right.
happen.
So what's happening this week
Yeah,
in boxing?
anyways.
No. So we were gonna talk September 11th a little bit, and then we were gonna get into like what's happening in boxing and stuff like
Oh,
that.
let's go right for that downer.
Oh no, it's not. I don't know if it's a downer. It's just like we talk about it. We
No,
talk about
you know,
boxing.
only thousands and thousands of people died.
Well,
That's
it's
not a downer at all.
Okay, so we can skip over that and
No.
come back to it.
No.
Go
Let's talk about it. Let's get out of the way.
Get it out of
Let's
the
get,
way.
we'll get out of the way so we don't bring it down later on in the show.
Here's why it's not a downer to me. I'll throw this out there for you. To me, what I remember most about 9/11
The next day.
is
the
how
next day.
friggin' unified this
Yes,
country was.
Yes.
We talk about that all the time.
And we've
Yeah.
never, ever,
Not since
ever
then.
been there since.
No.
Exactly.
Nor will we.
Ever again. No. Very good point. That's Dave from IT and the D, by the way, David Phillips.
Yeah, I'm
owner
just
of-
crashing. Sorry.
No, I like it. Love it. gives us more viewpoint.
Yeah, we like it here.
No, I 100% agree with you. I mean, it's both it's a great thing to remember because the day of and the actual attack is a downer. But exactly what Dave said.
September 12th was amazing.
September 12th. No, not even 12th. 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. For like a
was about-
month after.
I'd give it 6 months.
Yeah,
and then
even
it
like
faded.
a 6 months. Yeah, even like a 6 months, we were so unified. There were no longer, you know, African Americans and Latino Americans, and we were all Americans.
The hyphens were gone.
The hyphens were
That's
gone.
been
Exactly.
my biggest bitch.
Yes.
Hyphen.
The
Get
hyphens
rid
were
of the
gone.
goddamn hyphens.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were Americans.
Right.
We had all been attacked. Not one particular group, not, you know, and we were all Americans, and we all cried. We all, you know, we wept. We prayed, you know, for those that prayed together.
Right.
You know, churches and mosques and synagogues and temples, they were all coming together for joint prayer services, and, you know, it was an amazing time.
Well,
Like that.
Well, I mean, even then, not so much mosques. Not it was there was still a little tension.
Well, no, actually, in Dearborn, like the mosques and the churches were still.
Oh, they still very much
Yeah,
opened
yeah,
up. And
yeah.
So it actually, that was
Yeah.
one of the best things that ever happened, or one of the funniest stories we ever heard, was at one of our December events when we were still doing our December networking events to like raise money and stuff for the troops from Michigan that were overseas. We actually had a 4-star general that came to one of our events.
Do you remember his name?
I'd have to go look.
Okay.
He was a very, very, very large, intimidating black man. And
Wait, 4-star? So he was general.
Oh, he was. Yeah.
Okay.
No, he was like the dude.
Was it?
And apparently, he was the guy that was in charge of the entire Midwest when that was all happening and going down. And so, like, he was the one taking calls from the Pentagon saying, "We're getting reports that Dearborn is on fire," and he was like, "Yeah." No.
Wasn't. Oh, I'm trying to think of who that was.
I honestly would. I'd have to go back
I
and
want
look
to say
up
it's like McChrystal, but I don't think that's right.
Yeah, he was a very large, intimidating man.
I mean, and that's funny too because most generals are not large, intimidating. Well, Petraeus was because he was a former Marine, but that's a little bit different. But yeah, that's interesting.
He was a big dude.
Yeah.
No, even this past summer, so I had a boxer that I managed, and the night before the fights, there was really nothing to do. You don't want them thinking about the fights, and so I believe it's Subway Line A that ends at the World Trade Center. You get off it, and you walk a good distance still underground, and you got to remember that all the rubble fell in that, and then you walk into an amazing mall that wasn't there anymore, and you exit out, and at night when we were there, you're not allowed to go by the reflection falls because they actually block them off and stuff. And that's even more eerie that you're not able to go up to where the names are and stuff. You see the police there and they keep you away from it. I don't know if it's suicide or what they're preventing. And then you see One World Trade Center or Freedom Tower, and the thing's immaculate looking, but it's next to like two pools that go down forever. And it's like still eerie there, you know. Like we walked around and we didn't talk much about it. We were just walking and kind of looking again.
I mean, that's like I've never been to New York. I kind of am. I regret that I never went there before 9/11 happened, and I still haven't been there, you know, since or whatever. The only thing that, like, I should probably go to New York, but I hate people, so. New York is just crammed.
New York's a bad place.
Yeah, New York's just crammed with people. So,
well, especially Manhattan. I mean,
but
population of the island 1 million. Population during the day 6 million.
Yeah. I really want to go there though and see that at some point in time. But maybe when I'm like really old and partially senile, so like I don't have that anxiety attacks when I'm just surrounded by so many mobs of people.
Right.
So I haven't been to One World Trade Center. I was there. I mean, I actually was. I've been in the World Trade Center a number of times when I was there, and I was there in 2002, and I was there in 2005.
Right.
So I saw when they were doing like different phases of cleanup and that kind of stuff. And it was super somber. And I remember like that's when like I mean, you guys know, you've been around me for years now. I get obsessive about stuff. And so, and I'm sure they're on right now. Like, I'm sure there was a marathon on A&E and history and whatever else of all of the, like, and I own all of the 9/11, specials and documentaries and all that stuff. Yeah. And it's crazy. Like when you truly, like, and it's one of those things. It's almost like like Bob does it just because he knows it pisses me off. The whole the moon landing never happened.
Yeah,
the people
9/11 was an inside job.
That like those people infuriate me to no end. Like that's just one of those things where. I think the best. It's almost like the JFK assassination, in which it's really hard to rationalize that like one total and complete loser could have really been the person that brought down Camelot, and so it's really hard to rationalize that like 19 jackholes with box cutters.
Hijacked
caused the mayhem that was 9/11. And there are you've got there's I've seen all of the conspiracy videos and I've seen all of the things and I guess it's one of those things where if you're open to it, sure, it makes sense. But and it's like the One World Trade Center thing. Like one of the reasons why I haven't gone is I've seen a lot of the like stories and interviews with the families that they're kind of offended that it got turned into a tourist attraction.
Oh, it is.
Like there's
the observatory on top.
There's a shopping. There's a
giant,
gift center,
amazing mall.
When you walk out, it's almost like a Disney attraction. You go to Space Mountain and you got to walk out through the Space Mountain.
Right.
Exactly.
Like that.
Really, that's what it's like. You really want to like just go back in time and like be a fly on the wall in the boardroom when that conversation was happening.
Right.
Just to go like really.
Well, but be a fly on the wall that can, like pop back into human form, right? Just so that when it happens, just so you can slap some guy upside the head, and then pop back into a fly and fly away.
Right.
Yeah, but there's those assholes out there who how can we make $1 off?
Well, that's exactly what it was.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. It's always like that. That's what makes the world turn is the almighty dollar. Well,
and the sad reality is, I mean, that's what a lot of the conspiracy stuff. Like they've done like a lot of like it. They don't even necessarily believe it. But hey, I can get paid $2,000 or $5,000 to go speak at this conference if I say this is what I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure, I'm in.
Right. Yeah.
Now, 9/11's the one that I get mad at conspiracy theorists that think that it was an inside job to like do
It's a false
stuff.
flag, man.
Right.
False flag, man.
Or that they put dynamite in buildings to blow them up, like as they were burning. Like, okay, that only takes 2 weeks to do with construction companies, and no one saw that happen.
No.
So, I really get offended with that. The Kennedy one, I totally agree. Just, it's not even that loser couldn't pull it off. It's just he kept going back and forth from Russia.
Back and to the left. Back
Right.
and to the left.
No. He was in Russia for a long time, and not only that, he was involved in the mob. And then the Jack Ruby thing just fucks everything up. Because why the fuck does he care to take somebody out?
So, and the best book
he was about to turn on the freaking generals that ordered the head.
That
could be it.
Yeah.
No, so the best book I ever read. So like back in the day. Back in seriously, on CompuServe.
In 1952.
Yeah. Back in the 80s and 90s on CompuServe.
Oh, Jesus.
I was a whiz-op for the Mysteries and Unexplained Phenomena. And so one of the forums in there was the JFK conspiracy. It was one of those things.
Of course.
The best book I've ever read to this date, and it's been out for a bunch of years, because I get obsessive.
Right.
Me too.
I own every book on the JFK conspiracy. Like every, whether it was the the Giancarlo family, it was the mob that did, or whether it was the military infrastructure and Johnson did it. There was this and that.
It's a great movie.
It is a good movie.
Case Closed by Gerald Posner, and I'll lend you it if you want to read it.
It's good.
It is. He just factually. He's me, and it's beautiful because he just factually, step by step. Okay, here's this conspiracy theory. This is why that doesn't hold water.
Right.
Here's this conspiracy theory. This is why that doesn't hold water. Like the whole thing with Russia. Like you look at like Oswald's life. Like so. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah, he was a sniper in the Marines, and he did that, but he was always the kind of guy that really couldn't take orders and really thought he was supposed to be better than everybody else, and yada yada. And so, he he thought that like Russia would hail him as a hero for defecting. Well, he got there, and they realized he was a dumbass, and he realized they weren't gonna like give him all these accolades and shit. So he decided to try to come back, and he tried with Cuba, he tried with the Cuban embassy, and they were like, "You're a moron,"
right.
and so all that, like it is like that's the kind of stuff that like that just utterly fascinates me, like because again, like you can see, God, what was it, the Illuminati trilogy, which was a great set of books, and one of the things they talked about how the whole Illuminati thing, it's all based on 5, and it's all based on 5, and it's all based on 5. One of the very last pages in the book, the main character is with one of the other characters, and they're in a delivery in a nursery in a hospital where all babies are being born, and one of the babies has quote unquote a deformity with a 6th finger, and they were like, so here's like basically here's how all this works. If we all had 6 fingers, guess what? The Illuminati would all be about 6 this, 6 that. So like you look like it's because it's a human thing to look for patterns where there aren't any, because you want to make order from chaos. You want to have things make sense and be rational. It's like dreams. Sleeping and that kind of stuff. Like dreams.
What does this mean? What does this mean?
Well, you technically only dream in like second bursts. Millisecond bursts.
Yeah, but the dreams themselves.
That's your subconscious brain making sense of whatever
you
that
just saw. Yeah.
electrical discharge wells in your head.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's a
That's why-
second,
that's
but
why
it
you
seems
can-
like long forever if you're having a bad dream and you're trying to wake up.
Well, and not only that, but that's why, like, let's say you fall asleep for like 5 minutes, you can have this like really long, like, elaborate dream after a 5-minute nap.
Right.
Because you dream in like seconds, and then your brain basically tries to put all that together, and it's like, okay, here we go. You know.
This is the best I got.
It's like, so we're going to take a little bit of your insecurity, we're take a little bit of your abandonment issues,
And,
a little bit of PTSD,
Whatever that shit you were watching right before you fell asleep, we're going to throw
Exactly.
some of that in.
and we're going to sprinkle a little bit of, some mommy and daddy issues, and here you go.
Well, okay, so we'll talk a little bit JFK, then I got to talk Area 51 with Dave because I know this is
my
fascinating.
Lord.
But really quickly, I want Oliver Stone's version to be correct, even though I know it can't all be correct. But it was amazing. I mean, even down to the limo slowing down. If that's true, like Oliver Stone's movie where, like, all of a sudden they're going at, like, 4 miles per hour, and it seems like an inside job, and you get to learn about the mob and all the ties that Oswald had to different stuff. Like, I honestly think I wouldn't believe it if a guy named Jack Ruby didn't fucking kill a guy, because no matter how upset you are, you're not going to go away for life for killing the guy. It's just so bizarre.
So, but you look. So, look at that. So, all of the connections that Oswald had to people. Some of them were so tenuous. It was like, he had a drink at Jack Ruby's nightclub.
Right.
So did thousands of people.
Right.
That doesn't mean he knew him. Doesn't mean he knew anything. But like they could. Oh, he was there. Dude, I go to Temple Bar all the time. If something happens at the Temple Bar, does that mean does that mean I'm Ruby? And so
Yes, the answer is yes.
yeah, probably. I'll probably get blamed for it. But like, so, Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby was a well-known, huge supporter of JFK.
Yeah.
Very would not let people talk bad about him in his clubs. Would not, and was like really, really over the top, adamant about it. And kind of that's, you can see that kind of, like he might have been triggered enough to go do something like that. Now, the weird part about that is you get into the whole how Jack Ruby died.
Yeah.
That whole thing about, was there really a Soviet agent with an umbrella that had a pellet in it that injected mercury in his system, and that's what caused his cancer, like he claimed, and all that. If you can prove any of that, then maybe we can talk.
We might be living currently in the biggest conspiracy theory right now, and people have already moved on from it. With Bill Clinton riding on flights with the guy Epstein, doctor saying that there's no way you could crack a neck from hanging yourself from that cell, and
they said it's a typical hangman's break. That's what the
I heard from 2 doctors, and it could be partial to one way, that like it's really tough to break a neck on hanging, and and then just all the cameras didn't work, and
so there were no cameras in his cell.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't, and that's the other thing, like he hadn't been on suicide
But not
watch
even the
for
cameraman
weeks.
that's weird though, because he did try to commit suicide, and you know how many people he brought down.
But so you look at, and again, this is another great conspiracy, like, so you look at how charming of a guy he was, and how well he played. Dude, you've got a prince in England that's shaking in his fucking boots because of all the stories and rumors and innuendo that are going on about him right now. And in with political circles and in with all these people. So this guy was a charmer. To think for 2 seconds that he couldn't charm his way, like if he was truly a sociopath, there's no way that a prison psychologist he couldn't snow.
Right.
To be like, you know what? Yeah, I totally had my bad moment. I totally thought about harming myself, but I've been fine. And they said that he had to go through 3 sessions where and the prison shrink was like, yep, he sounded okay, cool. Yeah, whatever, take him off suicide watch. So he hadn't been on suicide. The one thing that I've heard that really kind of bugs me is there apparently was a guard on duty that night
that didn't show up.
No, that nobody knows who the hell he is.
Oh boy.
Like, so there was one guard. There, like, apparently there was a guard that, like, just literally nobody knows who this person was.
Oh, that guy? Don't worry about that guy.
Yeah.
But what about the Florida prosecutor? If this is true, and Jimmy could look it up really quick. The Florida
let him off, yeah.
Yeah, he said that somebody came into the room and said he's above your pay rank, and he's government, and he's on record of saying that, and that's why they could only give him so many months, 16 months for underage.
Well, because they knew. Because I mean, you listen to him. You listen to his rationale.
And that conspiracy is like he was a CIA agent, only put out there to gather information on very powerful people to discredit them. Right. And that's why he got such a deal. The Florida prosecutor said.
Well, then the flip side of that is you look at how likely was it going to be that they were going to get a conviction. You know, you look at the vast amount of money that he was throwing out. Dude, witnesses were getting paid $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to just hush up and walk away.
But I don't think it was the victims that. I mean, like you said, with the conspiracy theory, there's the Clintons, there's the Trumps, there's Princess,
they all don't know him
Hollywood. Now. Well, no, that's what I'm saying is, like, how many people was he going to name? Like, there are so many people that would have taken a gigantic fall if this thing had gone any farther than it did.
President Trump even said before he was president on Howard Stern that when they were talking about him that he liked younger women. He knew of that, and that they were associates back then. But now, of course, everyone's distancing themselves from it.
Of course.
But
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
So we listened to the Joe Rogan podcast about why people buy into conspiracy theories, and it was great because he said, first off, do you notice that only white race buys into them? It's not the black races or any other races about conspiracy theories. It's the white people that get together and have these conspiracy theories. But this one's like right out of the book. But the one thing I like, in Dave's probably an X-File fan. So JFK Sutherland plays a character who talks to Costner, and he's the smoking gun. And then it's later revisited by the X-Files, not because of JFK, but he has an associate in the FBI who kind of leads Mulder, and he's called
Deep Throat.
Deep Throat.
Yep.
And they kill him off, but he's leading Mulder on question everything, Mulder and everything. I think those things I really get hooked on because I really do think that there are people that know everything and they want to tell people.
Oh, I think there are people. See, and I think there are people that know more than most people do. I don't think anybody knows everything.
No,
because I think stuff gets so compartmentalized and locked. Because to me, think of your typical BS kingdom building that takes place in a company.
Yep.
Now imagine that on a governmental scale.
Right.
Where, you can have your little silo in the QA department there, Janice or whatever. But hey, you know what? You're the guy that actually knows what's going on in Area 51, for example, or, knows what's going on with, chemtrails or knows what's going on with any of that. Yeah, knowledge is power.
Are dying.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in the big joke right now, speaking of knowledge is power, is that back in the day, they used to have to get a court order to get a wiretap. Now you plug in Alexa, and that's the wiretap.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're helping them out. And as you said, knowledge is power. It's not inconceivable to think that some judges would not be compromised about affairs, arguments, or stuff like that they have on record.
Here's a funny thing, though, about you were saying you plug in Alexa and
you're
giving
giving them the wiretap.
But here's the thing. Because Google's stance is that Alexa only listens to conversations when you give it the code word hold on.
Been disproven, though.
I know, but this is what I'm saying. Because Google's stance in their legalese says that that's what happens. We all know it doesn't, but that's what it says. Legally, you cannot get a wiretap or use something of that nature in a criminal law case because it doesn't actually exist. You can't get a wiretap for a technology that doesn't actually exist.
Would you rather have a criminal case or blackmail material? You want the blackmail material.
What I'm saying is...
Here's the thing. If it's not recording all the time and not listening all the time, how does it know when you say the wake word?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand this. And the reason I found out about this is because I know somebody who works with Homeland Security, NSA, ICE, and all that kind of stuff like that. And we were actually just talking about that. They had a guy dead to rights. He's a cartel member that was living in the Detroit metro area. They had him dead to rights because they had on his Alexa talking about a hit, and when they brought it to court, it had to be dismissed because they gained it illegally. And they said, well, no, we had a wiretap signed by this judge for the Alexa, and the other judge threw it out saying you can't have a wiretap for a technology that doesn't actually exist.
Right.
And so now they're working on getting Google to basically go, okay, we said it doesn't listen all the time, but it really listens all the time.
It does, because they said people have listened in on conversations, listening on sex.
Well, you've had God, what was it? Because we talked about it on our show not too long ago. It was Arizona. A girl her boyfriend was beating the crap out of her.
Yes.
And the guy said something like, "What are you going to do? Call the cops?"
Yeah.
And Alexa called the 911.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And they wound up using that recording
because he said the key words.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Well, he never said, "Alexa,
No, I know.
call the cops."
But you don't have to say, Alexa, call the cops when it's an emergency.
That's not the way. No. According to their terminology, you must say either Alexa or computer
or whatever you
did. There's like 4 or 5 defined three wake words. That's supposed to trigger it.
Right.
And the dude's in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there was also physical evidence.
Right. But I thought, and I thought that if it was for emergency services, you can just skip that and say, call 911, call cops, call whatever. Okay. That was my misunderstanding.
No, because theoretically, it's still not, like, I still have to say, because I couldn't find my damn phone, and I was the only one at home.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, like I said, hey, where's my phone?
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Damn it, Alexa.
Yeah.
Where's my phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like in your file, it's like Dave's disorganized. This date. Dave's disorganized.
Oh, yeah. Dave can't find his phone. Dave can't find it.
So are you guys familiar with Bob Lazar then? From Area 51?
Yeah.
A little bit? Okay. So
really.
You're not a believer of him? I believe him.
I'm torn just because you look, and this is one of those things where you look at some of the stuff the military has. I mean, that's where, the stealth bombers were. That's where, a lot of that stuff was. And to an untrained eye, an SR-71 could look really, creates a wedged-shaped area of darkness with lights on it. Whatever. Harrier jump jets, that kind of stuff. Who knows what kind of technology they're playing with. Do I necessarily believe? Like, here's this is what I keep coming back to. Like a 9/11 conspiracy, a JFK conspiracy, aliens at Roswell and all that stuff. Expects me to believe that the government that couldn't keep a blowjob secret can keep a secret that involves tens of thousands of people at this point.
Yeah.
But
no, Area 51 is just it's just a research thing. Like,
well, Bob Lazar said it wasn't.
It is. It's all it is they,
and he's passed
all the technology.
I
know all the technology that is still in the prototype phase. That's what they tested out is at Area 51.
Oh, there's no question that there was testing going on. I mean, the government owned, I think, 98% of Nevada.
Yeah.
It's owned
huge
by the government.
Yeah. Well, some of it they have to because of all the nuclear tests that
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so
there's a reason the hookers look the way they do in Las Vegas.
So this whole raid thing, obviously I don't think it's going to happen. I think people will show up and they'll realize it's not a smart
storm
decision.
Area 51.
Yeah.
Oh, mother
they
of God.
gave it. They already gave up on it. Now then they were trying to turn it into a music festival.
Oh, no.
And that petered out.
No, you saw the guy. Did you see the interview with the guy that started it?
No, I haven't.
He was like, dude.
It was a joke.
He was like, dude. I'm drunk as shit one night, and I thought it'd be funny and make my buddies laugh.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, there's a million people saying they're going.
Yeah.
For the love of God, do not try to storm everything.
Well, no, and then somebody else took it, and it's like, well, since all these people said they were going to come anyways, why don't we just have a music festival in and around that area?
Right.
And then that kind of petered out, too. There were bands that were like, yeah, if people show up, we might show up. Like, they were trying to kind of make it like a modern Woodstock, but...
Fire Festival, too.
But yeah, Fire Festival, God. Or Burning Man or something.
Oh,
I mean, I just... But yeah, no, it was ridiculous, and I would say half of the people, maybe a little bit more than half of the people said they were coming and was like talking about it, knew it was a joke.
Like September 20th, right?
Yeah, but like knew it was a joke and weren't actually really going to show up, and then like the other people, like maybe 10% of those people were actual crazies, and the other people were like, I want to go there just to see what happens.
I just want people watch.
Yeah, I think that was kind of what it was.
I want people to jump the fence and get shot. I really do.
They're not going to get shot.
That was my favorite meme. Was the guy that they can't stop us all.
Yeah.
And then the guy with like the Jeep with the 50 cal laughing at 3,000 rounds per second.
Right. No, I want somebody to try and run like a naked person across a baseball field, a streaker, and see how far he can get.
Where's
before
Morgana
he
these days?
I don't know exactly with the big boobs and running. I want something to happen. Like now, I feel like it has to happen. Like something, It is odd that our technology jumped so quick. Like overnight, we were like dominant. And like there's a lot of things about those stealth fighters that he's talking about with Lockheed Martin and stuff that was like technology that was like way ahead of its time.
No, it wasn't.
Why wasn't it? Why wasn't the F-117 in the...
Because the military had been developing things like that or prototypes of things like that since World War II. It took... They knew what to do. They knew what to do. They kind of knew how to do it, but the manufacturing of the technology hadn't quite caught up yet. So by the time it did, they were just ready to go.
And look more. It's not so much alien technology. What happened at the end of World War II?
Oh, we nuked some people.
No, not that. But what happened?
No, we gave shelter to an awful lot of former Nazi scientists.
Oh, I know.
Yep.
That were really good.
So to me, and that's where a lot of that technology came from, not Roswell.
Let me ask you this, because you may or may not know. When was the first jet plane ever manufactured, and where?
Probably late 60s, early 70s.
No, it was 1944 at the Luftwaffe.
Yep.
At the end of the war, they had jet planes. I don't know if it was an R1. It was a jet fighter plane.
I was going to say, I think it was like the VR1, if I recall correctly.
No, VR1 were the rockets, I thought.
The ones that were V1, the V2, the V8.
Right.
I thought
the VR1...
Honestly, I'm trying to remember the old board game that I used to play. It was,
Yeah, but yeah, they had the Luftwaffe, like right before the end of World War II, had developed jet fighter planes, and World War II historians say that if the Luftwaffe had developed it a couple years earlier, the air game would have been totally different over Europe.
Right.
Because by the time they manufactured it, there were so few of them, and the Allies were so dominant in the air that it really didn't make a difference. But the speed, I think it was like an extra 75 to 100 miles per hour, faster turning radius, and so these single prop planes, the P-51 Mustangs and the Wildcats, stuff like that, they couldn't keep up with them. So the Germans were kind of hitting and then running because they could get away very fast. But Germany's manufacturing capability was so decimated by the war that they just couldn't produce enough for it to really make a difference. But yeah, 1944 is when the first jet plane, fighter plane, came out, and then almost immediately after that, the militaries of the world started manufacturing jet planes, which is why we had the what do we use in Korea? I forget the nomenclature. It was a jet plane in the 50s in Korea because it had already been developed by the U.S. military because, like Dave said, we gave shelter to a lot of Nazi scientists who kind of like,
yeah.
look at the plans we have, you know.
Yeah. Look, let's go ahead and start NASA.
Right, exactly.
Great idea.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. Like, when it comes to Area 51, like, I absolutely believe like that aliens are out there.
Oh yeah.
Totally do.
I also believe in the Fermi paradox too.
Oh yeah, because to me, like, I think it's a very egotistical point of view
to think that we're alone.
Oh
God, yeah.
But no, see, I don't even necessarily believe in the Fermi paradox. To me, we're the Jehovah's Witnesses of the universe. Like, we're the ones sending out all these satellites and radio waves going.
Yeah.
Do you have a moment?
Yeah.
Do you have a moment to talk? Have you heard the good word that you're not alone? Dude, if I were them, I wouldn't come near us.
Yeah.
Just close the blinds on the galaxy, and they won't know we're here.
The humans are here, or the Terrans are here.
Yeah.
Let's close the blinds.
Isn't like Michael Jackson Thriller like floating on a space thing that they hope someone finds with like, you know, like.
So
there was like a bunch of stuff
one of
from that
those
time period.
Like
the
a time
original
capsule?
Voyager has the gold, and that's the best part.
Yeah.
We put a gold disc that literally has our entire chemical makeup. Like, hey, dear, because here's the thing.
Oh my God.
Dear potential enemy, here are all of our flaws and weaknesses.
Right.
Come on in.
Come on in, see us.
We literally
V was much more realistic than E.T.
Yes.
Like, I expect V to happen before E.T. happens.
Absolutely. Or I really hope that even though it was a terrible movie, I kind of hope that Pixels is actually more realistic. That would be fun.
Dude.
If we're gonna die, let's go out with the retro style, you know?
Right.
Let's get Cubert to kill us.
Let's pick a form you guys are familiar with.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Oh, they could show up with one sequenced glove and some, floods on, and
right? The Destructor has come.
That's right.
Choose and perish.
Yeah.
No, that Dave's correct. Like it had our genetic makeup and the wanting to know if we're alone or not. It's I don't even know if the secret government cares about that shit. I really don't. I really think that like everything that could be done damaging wise is already floating above us anyways.
Yeah. But here's what I think is going to happen. I think aliens have been kind of keeping a tab on us. And when something does reach them and they decide to send something back, it's going to be something on the lines of "New planet, who dis?"
Right. Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like, sorry, we don't know you. Just kind of go away.
So the argument against that there are flying saucers is that technology is crazy. We got each 2 camera lenses on our phone, and no one captures anything. Back in the day when everything was blurry, there was like every month somebody would release something.
Or do you think that the aliens realized that the technology to capture them by video and by pictures or whatever had reached to the point where like maybe we should not expose ourselves as much?
No, because they would be so technologically advanced, especially because they're traveling from great distance, that I don't think they would fucking care. We're here to watch you guys.
Unless they have...
You're our reality TV.
I hate to use the Star Trek thing, but what if the aliens had something like Star Trek's Prime Directive,
right?
Where they're not allowed, they're observing us, but they're not allowed to like reveal themselves or interfere with us.
I think you're going to go with cloaking device,
right?
Well, that's what I'm saying, but a cloaking device to not reveal themselves to us, to interfere with what's going on,
right? And the other thing too, all the civilizations that have come before us, like the Greek gods, right? It explained thunder, it explained stuff. There are some religions out there that are pretty close to you. Be like, that might have been an alien visiting.
Well,
you know what I'm saying, and actually communicating.
And there's a lot of sci-fi out there. The whole Assassin's Creed.
Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull.
Yeah,
oh, dude, you had to bring that shit up.
But see, like the Assassin's Creed
terrible movie.
The Assassin's Creed video game, besides the actual assassinations, kind of whatever, the behind the story is basically that exact same thing, where the Greek gods were actually aliens that had basically brought humans here, and then they used this thing called the Apple of Eden to control the humans, except 2 humans, Homo sapiens, were able to resist the thing, and they were Adam and Eve, and broke out of the Garden of Eden, which was basically what the aliens had built to basically keep the humans in. So they broke out, and then they're the ones, their lineage are the ones that basically became the Templars and the Assassins, who they are controlled by the Apple of Eden as much as like the rest of the population.
So you don't believe in Area 51, like with
I went with Stargate motif.
Yeah, I mean, same kind of thing. Yeah, well, that was Egyptian.
So you're
yeah.
anti-Area 51.
I'm anti-Area 51 being
Besides
anything
it just
beyond
being technology.
being just where we test our prototypes.
What about you, Dave? Anti-Area 51 with aliens?
Yeah, I don't think they're there. I think it would have been definitively proven by now had it been.
I think
I don't think they're there,
us.
but I think there was some truth to something technology-wise, and I think we tested it there, but I don't think like that's where it went, and I'm not sure about Roswell. What about you, Rochelle? You in Area 51 aliens or no?
No.
All right, JFK. One person?
You're
Or
one
multiple?
person.
Really?
Absolutely.
All
Yep.
right. God,
Absolutely.
I don't know,
And
man.
you know
Maybe
what?
I buy
Here's
in
the
all
thing.
of them then.
Well, and here's the thing: before I joined the military, I was actually the other way, where I thought there had to be a second gunman on the grassy knoll.
Mm-hmm.
But after spending time in the military, spending time actually meeting like actual legit snipers, going into combat, seeing how bullets do like the weirdest fucking things.
Right.
I'm completely with it's one person, and also the medical, like how a bullet can travel in the body and do weird shit. It's not just in and out. It it hits up here and it comes out down here. I mean, So now with all my training and what I've seen, I've changed how I view it, and I think that absolutely was one person.
I think there was more people involved. I don't know if it's as big as a conspiracy as Oliver Stone and everybody wants it to be. I think there was more people involved.
Well, no. I think there were more people involved. I just think that there was only one shooter. But I think there was other people, other motivations behind it, besides just one guy who decided to try to, make himself famous or whatever.
It was
But
just Oswald.
Huh?
It was just Oswald.
I don't
got
think
that
so.
book, though,
I honestly think that our military generals had something to do with it.
It could have because of the pulling out of Bay of
because
Pigs.
of the pulling out of Vietnam.
And
Yeah.
yeah, but see
The other popular theory is the mobsters with all the votes. And
See, I don't
his
agree with
brother
that.
died too.
Well, I mean, there's actually three. I have a buddy who wrote a book called "The Death of the Three Kings": JFK, Robert Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay, so Martin Luther King Jr. is the one that everybody seems to believe was a conspiracy.
Well,
because of where it happened.
I mean,
how it happened.
It was a conspiracy.
I don't know that I would say it was a conspiracy. I would say it was a hit.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a grand scope conspiracy, but I mean, there were conspirators who planned to kill him. Yeah. But I don't think it went to the highest points of government or anything like that. I think there was just a group of white supremacist assholes who decided that they didn't like what Martin Luther King was saying, and they decided to get rid of him.
What about you, JFK? One?
I can't really say to it because I really don't know the story as well as you guys do.
Well,
back and to the left.
Yeah,
back and to the left.
No idea what you're saying.
Oliver Stone.
Like I said, I've never seen it.
I know. But in the movie, Kevin Costner was showing the Zapruder film, and for 10 minutes of the movie, all they did was show Kennedy's head exploding, and all he kept saying was back and to the left. Zzz, back and to the left. Zzz, back and to the left, and just over and over again, we get it. It's back and to the left.
Or the bullet went.
Well, it was
his head went.
Shot first, and then fell forward, and then shot coming back this way, and he was trying to prove that there was somebody else there besides Oswald. There was a second gunman on the grassy knoll.
All right, so last conspiracy theory before we move subjects.
Yes.
So Trump gets elected, clearly not the brightest candle in the room at any time. The theory is that
he is the brightest Cheeto, though.
Yeah, so the theory is that there's always been a secret government, and they don't care who's there, and they run stuff behind the scenes.
Have
you believe in it?
Have you watched Fahrenheit 11/9?
No, I read the book, though.
No, not 9/11, 11/9.
No.
So 9/11 was about the whole Bush thing.
Right.
Okay.
11/9 is about the rise of Trump and the stuff that's going on in Flint. I mean, it's Michael Moore still. I love, and I completely believe this philosophy and this theory and story. Ooh. Donald Trump is president because of Gwen Stefani.
I'm sorry.
Wait, what? Wait, is it because she's no holler back girl?
No, it's because she was making more money than him as a host of The Voice than he was as the host of The Apprentice. And so he decided to try to prove to NBC how much more popular he was, and booked three. He booked three rallies, and like the timeline proves out. Mm-hmm. He booked three rallies and said, "I'm going to announce my run for president and watch how popular I am. Give me more money." So you can literally see his face. That first rally, he walks out and he's like, "Oh shit! Holy shit! People showed up."
Well, no, that's all he did was brag about how many people were at these
his
things.
Rallies.
Oh yeah,
over exaggerating.
Right, even if it wasn't true.
But yeah, so then he had the second and third, and they had the second and third one booked, and then it was like, well, shit, because like literally, like you can see his face during every press conference, during every debate. You can see the look on his face where he goes,
"Fuck, I'm gonna win."
No, it's the
he did not expect to win.
Well, the last set of outlandish shit that I said didn't get me kicked out. Let's see what I can say this time.
Just pushing the envelope.
And what did he do? He lighted the fire under every single goddamn white supremacist in this country. That's how he got elected.
He exposed the problem.
Oh yeah, so this is what I've always said. The Democrats lost that election because they ignored the base they hate to think about, which is blue collar America. And they went super intellectual left wing. The Republicans won.
They also put a, see you next Tuesday up as their president.
Because her emails.
But no, that's not why.
But the Republicans won because they appealed to their dirty little base. They don't like to talk about.
There's nothing that guy can do wrong. Nothing that guy can do wrong. Absolutely. There's nothing
to them,
he can do.
Well, it's funny too, but
to the general public, and to the fact that he's going to be president for the rest of his term.
Just the people that, just the people that voted for him the first time. Right. But I actually have people that I know that voted for him because they were literally like, well, there's no way in hell I'm going to vote for the other person, and now they're like, okay. Like, we didn't think it was going to be this bad.
It's pretty bad.
So no matter who they throw up, we just got to get them out.
So, and honestly, that's my biggest fear is that the Democrats are going to screw up again. Like, you watch the debates and that kind of stuff. And so because this is the other part of what happened. Like, you've got all these people that get invested in their candidate, whether that's Bernie or whoever else. And then when their candidate isn't the one that's picked,
they're like,
I'm out. I'm not voting.
Right.
Dude, look how many and this is actually part of that 11-9 thing. No, actually it wasn't. It was the the Great Hack.
Okay.
That was about all the shit that Cambridge Analytica did.
Right.
The election in this country came down to 78,000 votes. Literally. 78,000 votes. And you look at, and this is a great documentary if you haven't seen it, because it goes into what that company actually did, and how they did it in 11 other countries around the world before they were hired by the Republican Party here. And they could literally narrow down not by state, not by county, not by city. I know you are an undecided voter who's swayable. That's what they go, swayable. I am going to flood your goddamn feed with every Hillary's, that whole put her in jail, Hillary thing. Those were created by Cambridge Analytica.
Right.
Like that, and would just flood your feed with sponsored posts that like let. It's crazy when you look at some of the stuff that went on.
Well, but then the Democrats, these are the people we have. Oh boy, I mean, like, this is what we're gonna go.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what I know. But here's the thing, and I think some people hopefully kind of realize this: the damage that Trump has done. No matter who the Democrats throw up, people know that no matter who we elect as a Democrat. Their entire presidency for 4 years is just going to be trying to do damage control. They're not going to actually be able to do anything that they want to do. The entire thing is going to be about
the rest of the world to hate us less.
Yes,
that's cool.
it's basically going to be like taking us from the brink of like being at war with everybody to, okay, people just kind of don't like us. You know, all the people that hated us before and will always hate us will still hate us, but let's get our allies back. Let's get Germany back. Let's get England back. Let's get France back. Like, let's have a good relationship with our allies. Right.
Let's get Canada back. I mean, they're attached for the love of Christ.
I mean, Canada, you know, I mean, they're still just, you know, the quiet neighbor that lives on, you know, above the party. But, I mean, so yeah, let's get Canada back, but only so that we can, you know, get across the bridge without, like, you know, too much hassle anymore.
Well, so there's their old political theory that we have to have an enemy. And so there was an economist on one of the networks who said that when you see somebody in the United States flaunting their wealth, that's 1% maybe of the wealth. So when Warren Buffett, who is the richest man in the world sometimes, and sometimes it's somebody else, but he's always top 3.
Yeah.
When he gets on there, we're seeing 1% of the wealth of the United States. Right. When Russia in its Putin, you're seeing 99% of their wealth. Mm-hmm. Like, they are pretty far still behind as a country. Yeah. And this economist is like, every time we talk about Russia, I'm like, why? Because they are pretty still darn far away from us, and like will be for a long time, because they're recovering from a lot of sanctions or the Cold War. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you're seeing 99%, but they said the government or political parties, they need to have that enemy to relate to people. And so, like, now that, you know, it's not so much the Taliban anymore, and it's not so much Osama bin Laden because he's gone, it's now Russia again. And it's like Russia interfering with our elections, Russia, all that stuff has come back around. And this economist was like, it doesn't make sense.
Did it? So, because to me, no, see, I don't even look externally for that. To me, they're spending so much time, effort, and energy making the enemy within.
Right.
It's because it is. I mean, you look at how it is damn near physically impossible to have a rational discussion with somebody who is of the other side.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care. Like I'm liberal. And I'm, you know, I can say that about conservatives. I'm sure there are conservatives that would say that about me.
Right.
It is physically impossible to have a rational discussion, because no matter how it comes down to libtard, snowflake, you know, elitist, snob, racist, Right. It devolves to that, whether you want it to or not, whether you intend it to or not.
It always does.
It always does. You know, and especially when you look at the social media channels like Facebook that make it so easy to turn your wall into an echo chamber, so that because it's all about whatever you interact with, you are more likely to see more of.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you start, you know, and the stat that killed me, that we've talked about a bajillion times on the show, is that 80% of people do not read an article.
Oh, I know.
No.
They read the headline
and
that agrees with what I think, and they share it.
Yep.
And then they react.
And so that's, you know, so it's that's what builds that little echo chamber of, you never see a dissenting viewpoint. You never even see an opposing point of view. And so you think you just have this little bubble of people that think like you and talk like you and act like you. And like that whole, like, I can't wait. Like, it's like my daughter's in 7th grade now. I want to see, like, I want to find out, like, are there still debate clubs?
Right.
Yeah.
Because God knows kids today don't know how to talk to people. They know how to talk. They with their thumbs, they do.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to carry on a conversation.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have a debate club in the schools that I went to. We didn't have a debate club until you were in high school, so not even in middle school. But no, and the other thing too is like, there's one specific person that's on my Facebook thing, and everybody's like, why don't you just delete him? Because he posts like the most asinine, inane things, and I'm like, I don't delete him because he's kind of my litmus test for the other side.
Right.
Like, all the crazy that's coming out, like, he's gonna spout it, so I can see what they believe.
I want to be aware.
Right, I want to be aware. But here's the other thing too: every single article that he posts, the first thing I do is I click on the article and I scroll all the way down to the bottom. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it takes a very long time. But you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and every single one of them has this little tiny disclaimer on the bottom of the website that says, this site is satire.
Yep.
No, well,
And
so
he's like, it's not Onion. It's like The Blaze and Babylon Bee and like things like that. It's a satire site, but he puts it out there as being God's honest truth.
Well, that's why the debates going into this next election are going to suck, because like back in the day, like Dave said, there was more swayable public.
Right.
Now people have already made up their choice before the fucking thing even happens.
See,
You're
me,
either Trump or not Trump.
I view the debates, right? Like I view the debates pretty much the same way I look at American Idol. I watched the first couple because I wanted to see the shit shows.
Yeah.
I wanted to see who made an ass of themselves. I wanted to see like the ridiculous moments.
Right.
And now I'm out.
Right.
Call me back when there's like 4 left.
Right.
Like call me like when the ones I actually have to pay attention to.
Right.
All right. Cool. Now I'll dive in and see who's going to be really be there.
See, I think
it's true.
I think we need to bring back duels. Like honest to God duels.
That's a whole other topic.
I mean,
because, dude, if you could, like, if Trump knew that his ass could get called out on the White House lawn,
absolutely.
99.9% of the shit that comes flying out of his mouth would never come flying out of his mouth.
Because here's the thing, like like you say, you get obsessed. One of the things that I have gotten obsessed over the years is the founding fathers. Hamilton, Jefferson, Madison, all them. And my favorite exchange and some of my favorite things is looking at the stuff that like Jefferson wrote about Hamilton wrote about Madison wrote about, but like people are like, oh, you're not we've lost civility like in our conversations. We've reverted back to what the founding fathers were doing, and the name calling, the things that they would spout about each other was amazing. Like they put just like, oh, he's Clinton, calling Hillary Rodham Clinton a CUNT or whatever is nothing compared to like what these guys would have called her. Right. Like it just, and the language, and that's the other thing too, is our language, like our vocabulary has dropped. Like the words that we know and can use in conversation and use in writing and use in correspondence has greatly reduced from that time period. But man, I mean, they were just epic rants about how, Hamilton was an elitist, vile pig effing. Oh yeah. Like just, I mean, it was amazing.
As I said, I want to bring back duels.
Yes, I want to bring back duels, and I want to bring back those kind of like you call out somebody and then you write a letter to them and then they respond.
No. I want to duels.
Yeah.
And loser has to be vice president.
Nice.
No. I think we need to not have the political parties anymore.
Well, that's
never gonna happen. Too much money in it.
There's way too much money.
I want to say
loser has to be vice president because that's a relatively new thing.
Right.
Like the whole you pick your vice president.
Right. It's a relatively new thing.
It used to be you lost the election, you had to be vice president.
Well, I think it was after Burr. It was the 2 elections after Burr was vice president that they changed that. So it was like mid 1800s. Yeah. But yeah, it was 2 guys would run. Whoever lost would get to be would be vice president.
Can you imagine that nowadays? It would be horrible.
But I think there would be less shit talk.
I think there would.
If you knew that whoever lost, you'd have to work with this asshole for the next 4 years.
Right.
Hey, Chuck, I'm sorry I said that, man.
Right.
Come out of the White House, man.
Honestly, I think we need to bring back duels.
Well, that would be cool.
But we need to the duels need to be done with the flintlock 1700 ball pistols, not with a Glock or whatever.
Totally agree because back, that's the thing.
And on pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view, yes, absolutely. And
because that should pays off the national debt.
I was going to say the revenue from the pay-per-view goes off to pay the national debt. Actually, no,
student debt.
Well, all debts. It's just erase all debts. The national debt, student debts, every debt. But the other thing is, too, The money that's generated from the duel also pays all the salaries for all the politicians. So if they don't make a whole lot of money on the pay-per-view, they don't get paid a whole lot.
Right.
Well, that's it. So, yeah, turn it back into a part-time job.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely turn it into a part-time job. And I think we need to also change the laws where you can start, let's say, as a city councilman. You have 4 years. Then you can either move up or move out. If you move up, you can be mayor for 4 years. But you have to either move up or move out, and no more than 4 years.
Right.
You're done. After 4 years, you're done. You go back to the private sector.
Even some of the Bill of Rights need to be revisited because who knew back then? I mean, if Bill and Ted show up when they're writing the Second Amendment and they show them what is available, like a rocket launcher, they'll be like, you know what? Scratch off 2. 3 becomes 2. You know, you can have one gun.
We need to really stress that militia.
Exactly.
Right. More.
Yeah.
We have to really stress that regulated militia.
Well, here's the funny thing.
Gun, maybe.
All the Second Amendment, thumpers or whatever about how you need to have the guns to, basically arm yourself against the government or whatever. The funny thing is, this government, the one that they support, is the government that they've been freaking talking about for 200 years.
I know.
It's the ones that they've been talking about.
That's why V for Vendetta is so perfect, man. That's a great movie.
It really is.
It actually is tying in more now than it really did back in the day.
Yes, it absolutely is. Yeah.
But no, the whole thing about it, we'll finish up on this topic is that you got to admit that there's some laws that are so outdated because they didn't know technology would be like it is. No one knew. I mean, I get it, but also at the same time, like, you do need to be able to protect yourself from the government to Absolutely.
just basically make Estapos again.
Absolutely.
You need to be able to protect yourself and your family and, whatever. But at the same time, like, if the military was trying to take you down, they're not going to come in with AK or AR-15s or M4s or whatever. They're going to be a tank.
Right.
There are technologies that civilians can't get that the military has that just civilians can't have.
Right.
But you do need to be able to fight back if necessary.
Well, the great quote: "The people should not be afraid of the government should be afraid of the people."
Which it is absolutely not right now.
No, it's not.
It is not right now.
So if you got a carrying license in Michigan, I can't go to Ohio.
Yeah, you can. You just have to have it locked in your trunk.
Okay, but it's still not the same.
But you can't
license.
carry.
Right.
Yeah, you can't. But
how is it the same?
Well, no, it is and it isn't, because you can't carry concealed carry or whatever, but it can be locked in your car. But if you are if your life is threatened and you pull it out and respond, you are protected.
You gotta say, wait a minute, go around to the trunk.
Well, I know, I
understand.
understand.
The trunk,
right.
Get it out.
One of the things that they're doing right now is, and I kind of agree with this too, is one of the hardest things and one of the reasons why we don't, like, the states don't talk to one another. The databases don't talk to one another.
Correct.
And the reason for that is because every state has their own rules and regulations about who can carry and who can't carry and this and other thing. So one of the things that they're trying to do, and it's both a positive and a negative, so it's a compromise, is that if you get a concealed carry in a concealed carry state, you have to go through, and this is what they're trying to do, you will be able to conceal carry in every continental United States.
Right.
However, your name will be going into a database.
Right.
It will be tracked. When you purchase things like ammunition and stuff like that, it will go into the database. So if you purchase like 10,000 rounds of 9mm or 5.56 or whatever, a little warning light will go off and somebody will come knocking on your door and go, "Hey, I just saw you bought 10,000 rounds of 5.56. What's going on?"
The other reason the states don't share information, though, is money. And a prime example is that...
Well, that's what this new thing is going to help solve, is that...
Right.
Yeah. Every state will be a concealed carry state if you get your license in a concealed carry state. and every state will have to pay, but all the states will be part of this database.
Right.
So you can't, like, let's say that, and that's the other thing too, is let's say that you go to, well, it used to be Walmart, but Walmart's not selling ammo anymore, but you go to Dunham's here in Michigan, and you buy 500 rounds. Doesn't set off an alarm, because 500 rounds, if you're going with you and a couple of buddies out to an outdoor firing range, you can blow through in about an hour, right? So it's not going to set off an alarm. So you go to Dunham's and you buy 500 rounds. Then you go to Walmart and you buy 500 rounds. Now you're at 1,000 rounds, which might tip off somebody like, hey, he's bought a lot of, things or whatever. But then you can go to Ohio and go to a gun store or one of those national chains and buy ammo there. But because Ohio and Michigan don't talk to one another, that little warning light's not, now that you've bought 2,000 rounds, and it's not, a little warning light's not going to go off. So by merging all this together and making all the law enforcements and all, anybody who carries this stuff all go into a database, it's going to make it much easier to keep track of, what you purchased, how much you've purchased, where you've purchased it, and basically kind of keep an eye on people that are have 10,000 guns and, shit like that. And, yeah, I get it. It's your right. But at the same time, there's something wrong if you're buying 10,000 guns and 20,000 rounds of ammo. And there's a switch. There's something loose up there, that. And that's the other thing too, is with this new technology or this new thing that they're looking at, is in order to get a concealed license, you have to go and see a therapist who actually clears you and says, this guy is not mentally insane, And every time that you go to get renewed, you have to go back and see that.
The whole thing about that is human error, though. Because somebody might determine that somebody is.
I understand that, but at the same time, I would rather somebody determine that somebody is not mentally stable and prevent a disaster.
I agree.
Then just let everybody swinging dick, have one.
Right. No, I agree. That's the whole reason, though. A lot of cities will want to have a plea deal, because there's a lot of cases in nonviolent crimes where the money will go to the state, or it can stay under ordinance. And so some people are I was going 20 over, and they offered parking violation, or they offered a car that is obstructing traffic, because the money doesn't get kicked to the state with points.
Right.
You don't get points. The money stays within the city, and it becomes a business. And so, that's the other reason, though, that states don't share information, is because we don't want to know.
Well, that's just it, too, is then with this new thing, it'll be up to the state whether or not they, do the or you could get, so the states themselves can still do a state concealed carry license.
Right.
This is what this new thing that they're talking about. But it's only good in that state. Or you can go for the national one, which is where all this stuff goes to, and then that money goes to the bigger government, not the state government. But it's a much stricter thing, and then you would be able to carry in all the states, not just that one or two Z state or whatever.
No, I gotcha.
Yeah,
but that's just another point of why they wouldn't want to exchange information on that.
But that's just it. Is it would be the state wouldn't. Yes and no. If this thing passes, the states won't have a choice. They will have to. It'll be
no. So you're going gun. I'm going lesser crimes, misdemeanors, and stuff that. A lot of that's not shared.
But it has nothing to do with that.
It kind of does.
But what I'm saying is this new thing that they're talking about, that wouldn't be a part of it.
No, I know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
So you wouldn't have to, as soon as you hit the Ohio border, throw your gun in the trunk.
Exactly.
Because you can't carry it.
Right, exactly.
Man, we went off subject. I love it, though. I love conspiracies. Yeah, I talk about it all day. I do. Which one do you believe in?
Kind of like they banned flavored vapes.
Yeah.
Because 20 people got sick. Yet 480,000 people die every year from smoking. Still fine.
20, yeah, I know.
20 teenagers.
No, they weren't just teenagers.
Well, I thought they were like mostly teenagers, but they were also mixing it with like weird shit.
No, so it was the so that's the thing. It was the counterfeit cartridges that were causing the issues. And so it's that's which and it's a thing. So like when they first came out. Like the first gen of the flavored cartridges, like people started, like doctors and started reporting things like popcorn lung that they hadn't seen since like the early 1900s, like coal miners and that kind of shit. But it was because they were using, let's try this chemical and see what happens. So I mean, like honestly, they've gotten better. Like I vape every now and then. I still prefer smoking.
My girlfriend vapes, so she doesn't smoke.
But I mean, it's But I've always laughed at the people who are like, "Oh, vaping's better for you." Well,
not really.
You're bringing water vapor into your lungs, so you're basically just starting the countdown clock on pneumonia. Best case scenario.
kind of, yeah.
Do you think this is very Beverly Hills Cop-ish, especially, we're only a few streets away from the scenes that were filmed in Detroit were filmed right around the corner. But, the sticker where he's in the back of the truck and he goes, these all have the federal sticker. Do you think do you think it's because vapes couldn't be regulated like cigarettes just yet? And that if they were able to put the sticker on them and control it, they don't care. They care about the money.
No. I mean, I do.
I think Whitmer's just an idiot.
Well, no, I don't know that she's an idiot because you look at that and here's your conspiracy theory. Look at her campaign contributions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
lots and lots and lots of money from the tobacco industry. Mm-hmm. And what's not banned? Tobacco flavored vapes.
Right. Yeah,
those are fine.
Yeah. But it looked like that guy. I just read the story about the guy that owns all those Wild Bills. He's getting fucked. Like because of his background, he didn't pass the background check. He was like. I don't know if he was...
Wild Bills?
Wild Bills, those tobacco stores.
Sorry.
Multi-millionaire. Filed for all these marijuana dispensaries, and he was denied, but yet he funded the people that are on the board. And it's basically because he has questionable character, so they're not going to give him that. But each application was a lot of money, so like it was $280,000 in application fees he had, and he was denied. But he was a contributor to a lot of people that denied him, and that so it hits Deadline Detroit and all these agencies that are curious about it. But it's awesome when you see politics work. Just because he donated
didn't mean
doesn't mean you get to go through.
Good, because everybody knows that's going to be that and legalized gambling. It's like that's the brouhaha on the horizon is Michigan legalizing gambling. Mm-hmm. But you look at what recreational marijuana has done for Colorado and Washington and knowing what it could do here. Hey, we might be able to fix the damn roads. Who knew? And dude, I've always said, I remember back in college, I wrote a paper about if you would just legalize, tax, and regulate weed and coke, you could have the national debt paid off in 3 years.
Exactly.
But that's in nobody's best interest. Oh no, by the way, as a side effect, you'd get rid of gangs.
Right. Yeah.
Or you'd at least force them to find something else to fight over.
I mean, yeah.
Coke?
Well, because it's not coke anymore.
Dude,
it's not weed anymore.
It's not weed anymore.
Like, have you?
It's crack. It's heroin. It's especially that shit coming out of Ohio.
Coke's making a comeback.
Coke's
making a huge comeback.
It is, but
weed isn't weed anymore. Like, dude, I took a hit off of it. I took a hit.
I know. That shit's
it's different than what it was.
That shit is so potent now.
I don't remember it put me on the floor. Like that shit put me on. Like good damn.
I had this was several months ago, and I was trying out. A friend of mine had a D&D group going, and she wanted to know if I wanted to play with the group. And they were all just a bunch of potheads. So they're like, here's one of those little marijuana vape pen things or whatever. Uh-oh. Do you want to take a hit? And I'm like, sure. Because I wasn't going anywhere. I was staying the night because it was way out in the middle of nowhere. So I wasn't driving. I'm like, sure. I took the tiniest little hit, and I was fucked
So actually a guest on the show that's in here after you guys tonight, about a month and a half ago, makes them. And distributes them, and that dude, and he was like, dude, here, he's like, try these out. You know, he's like, here's 4 or 5 of them. Share them with your friends. See what you think.
Yeah, it's potent now.
Really friendly. Dude, I remember weed, okay, you get high and you'd sit around and veg and watch MASH reruns. Eat a shit ton of Doritos.
I was sitting there trying to focus on breathing. I'm like,
well, no. Okay, but think about it. The worst and the scariest thing about it is we have kids now.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And this
it's
is
totally different.
I know. They're gonna try.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
But see, they're going to start on that. They're going to build up an immunity.
I feel bad for my kids. Yeah. My kids and I have had this talk. Like my nieces and nephews, I'm crazy Uncle Dave. I'm Drunkle Dave.
Right.
They know...
I have no idea why they would come up with
all know that, they know my history, they know my past. I'm the one, literally... The in-laws bring their kids to me.
All right, sit down. Here's
they're like, hey,
lesson.
When Allison was the first one, and she graduated. She's a teacher now. She was the first one. Mm-hmm. All right, she's getting ready to go off to school. Dave, she's spending the weekend at your house. Get her ready for it.
Nice.
Okay, and it went all the way down the line, and I got all of them just ripped. Because, but it was one of those things okay, hey.
You're in a controlled environment.
Here's what drinks feel like.
Right.
Here's what a hangover feels like.
Right.
Oh, here's what puking feels like when you drink too much. Yeah. Here's a nice greasy breakfast. We'll get you all cured up and
let's do it again.
And that was the thing. So they learned their limits. They learned what certain things should feel like. One of my nieces found herself in a situation where she's still pretty convinced she got roofied. Because she knew what she should have felt like,
and it was way too much.
Did not feel like that, and so removed herself from that situation and was safe.
Good for her.
Like you said, though, it's not the same pot. When we grew up, everybody knew somebody that could everyone knew somebody that could make weed brownies, right? And you could have a few and you'd giggle, right? Yeah. Now you have an ear of a quarter of a gummy bear. Yeah. You are fucked,
dude. So you
are done.
I went to it was one of the events for one of the organizational events for one of the cons that goes on, and somebody handed me a gummy, and dude, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be great. Whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool, pop. They were like, whoa.
That would have been me. That would have been me.
They were like, dude, they're like, have you swallowed it? I'm like, what? They're like, no, you're maybe a leg, maybe an ear. What are you doing? I'm like, you gave me a gummy bear. They were like, no, I gave you a gummy, and they're like, I'm gonna leave this right here. I'm gonna see what I already took in, and just stay here with me for about a half hour. We're gonna see how this plays out.
That's how did it play out?
It was not good.
Because they're so potent. Back in the day, I could do 4 pot brownies, and I'd giggle. I'd be like,
dude. Back in the day, I would that 70s show, dude. I would turn my basement into the fog, and cool. Like I said, worst. You sit around, you watch
giggle too much,
right? Yeah, you giggle.
Occasional paranoia.
What did it do? Yeah. Back then, smoking weed made you go to arts and crafts.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I can make a bun. I can take this. I can take this can, and I got a crack. Yeah. I can push this down and poke some holes in it, and that's all it did.
Yep. Yeah. Turned you into fucking MacGyver.
But it's the same. I never understood heroin. I never understood. Number one, needles.
Right.
Number two, never understood taking a drug that made me sleepy.
Yep.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
If I'm like Coke, I was all about. Which laughably, the whole vodka Red Bull thing. There was a study that came out about 2 years ago that said, oh, by the way, vodka and Red Bull triggers the same receptors in the brain that cocaine does. And
Addicted.
I'm like, that explains so much.
Huh. I've never done Coke, but I drink vodka Red Bull.
Right, me
too.
Yeah.
It does. It triggers the exact same receptors in the brain that Coke does.
Interesting.
We got to wrap it up because we got another show coming up. Dave, thanks for joining us, man. Conspiracies.
Yeah.
Really quickly, one conspiracy you do believe in. It's got to be one. Out of all of them. Pyramids, anything. What is the one?
Dude, so pyramids, I don't know that we did.
Okay.
I don't.
aliens.
Like just knowing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with the pyramids, knowing that here we are thousands of years later,
Can't build them.
and those suckers are still within like 0.00 whatever of true north, like of the ordinal points of the compass.
Yeah.
And like the Great Pyramid, every day the sun rises on another step, all the way up.
Yeah.
Dude, we couldn't do that now with a gun to our head.
I know.
I think we could, and I also think there was a lot of when, like, the Library of Alexandria burnt to the ground, there was a lot of technology and a lot of things that were in that we just started to relearn at the beginning of, like, kind of the beginning of the 1800s, but then also kind of, like, into the 1900s. Like, not microchips and shit like that, but
I do wonder how much the Dark Ages hurt us. Like,
it hurt us so much.
Like how much scientific suppression really went on.
There were advances in medicine during the golden age of Islam that we in the Western world, like, not only did we not use what they were doing, but then we burnt all of their like notes and stuff like that. Because England. Because England, and it was the Crusades and the church and stuff like that, and those filthy Muslims. Like, we cannot do what they're doing. But they had met, like, we just kind of refound some of this shit. But they had diagrams of the human body and what was inside. That was like we did not have that in the Western world until like the 1930s.
Oh, so therefore it was heresy.
It was heresy. It really was. It really was, because there were some people that were basically, they said, we're going to take the fall. We're going to cut open these dead bodies, and we're basically going to desecrate these dead bodies. We know we will never get into heaven.
So Watson and Crick.
Right. So, but we need to know for medicine, they stopped the bubonic plague in I forget what country it was, like hundreds of years before the bubonic plague took out most of Europe, because they realized what was happening and how to treat it. But we destroyed it during the Crusades.
Well, we gotta get out of here. Thank you so much, Dave. What show's coming up next?
Closet Conversations.
All right, Closet Conversations. We will be out. Be back next week. Take care.